I swear to God. You guys were like, those guys taking off-season mad seriously, bro.
Yo, chill. You know what I'm saying? This guy's out here. Dude, oh man. Okay, yo, people, what's up? Again, what's good? Okay, and we're a little bit off the cuff right now. We got IFBB Pro Tony Coke in the house. But before we give him the formal introduction, I got to do my little introduction for Meathead on the Mic podcast. All right, so you know what's happening. Yo, what's good, Meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your host, IFBB Pro MEATHEAD, coming at you with another topic. And today we will be joined with a special guest. All right, he's a former national champion. 2018 is the year he turned pro, and there's a funny story behind that. We're going to get into that a little bit later. All right. Today we're going to be breaking down the realities of competing, going from natural to an enhanced athlete, and of course, you know, having a relationship as you compete and as you we'll say develop and, you know, change your physique into building at least what you've got here, Tony, which is fucking amazing. And I'll tell you personally, guys and girls, if he wasn't one of my inspirations, he was like the main inspiration for me to get my pro card. Not just because he did it himself, you know, as a natural, but because he also provided like that atmosphere, you know, of people that played at a higher level that would allow me to move forward. It's true, dude. Man, COVID happened. There was no other place to train, and then you just came through, and like I just never lost momentum because of that. So part, if not most of my success, I do owe to you, especially within the last year. The support, man, it's just been crazy. But before we dive in, guys and girls, I just want to let you know that you're welcome to join the Meathead Monsters community. It's a free Facebook community if you want to meet meatheads online, you know what I mean, like us. All right, so don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast to your IG story to show support. It'll go a really long way. Also, if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, tune in to the live recording, or if you want to search for me, just search Matt Batale on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. And again, you can subscribe to me on YouTube as well if you want to. All right, so it's time to dive in to the meat and potatoes, bro. Man, shit. For the people that don't know who you are, because we're already chopping it. We started this podcast laughing, so you guys already know us dying. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if we can do this, man.
Oh, damn. Fuck. Yo, for those of us that don't know who IFBB Pro Tony Coke is, allow us to know. Introduce yourself. Let us know. How did you get here? What's your story, bro?
Well, first off, thank you for having me, Youngblood. I really appreciate it. I see you doing your thing. Super proud of you. And you were talking about the success earlier, how, you know, you feel that you owe me. Bro, you've already paid me back tenfold with the work ethic, your determination. You already know it's love, fam. Or much love. You already know what it is.
Yeah.
As for me, I mean, I've always been competitive my entire life. Sports, growing up, that's always been my thing. I honestly and truly, I was big into baseball. Baseball was my sport. I honestly thought I was going to go pro. That was my biggest thing. I didn't go pro, didn't get drafted at the age of 18. Normally that's when you go through the motions. I didn't get drafted, so I needed something to do. And kind of bodybuilding was something of that next step for me. And it wasn't so bodybuilding in terms of like the actual competitive aspect of it. It was just more so, okay, there's nothing else to do. I'm not proficient in one particular sport. So let's just get healthy. Let's just get in shape. Let's just do what we can to just, better ourselves. And, I started training for a little bit. Again, not really knowing much, but kind of just going through the motions. I was always told, hey, you're a pretty thick kid. Like, you should try this. You should try that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I feel that. I feel my fault.
Yeah. You know, the old heads be talking sometimes, though, right?
Yeah, but you gotta pull the brakes on that. Handbrakes, you feel me? Oh man, I feel on that. But yeah, growing up, you're like a built, barrel chest. You got the motherfucking size on you, right? So that's what they were saying. And then, so if I understand correctly, that sort of made you lean towards either lifting or taking your health and fitness in that direction away from baseball, correct? Just the fact that you already had that nice foundation. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Because again, you played sports growing up as well, right? And you kind of understand the commitment and dedication that it takes when you're really into like that particular sport. Because I remember you and I were talking with your wrestling. From what I understand with you, like summers you were training, weekends you were training. And same thing like with baseball's tournaments, in the summertime we were out and about practicing or whatever the case, doing a little little tournaments here and there. So you're so dedicated to that craft, and it doesn't pan out for you. It's kind of like, what else can you do? All right. So for me as an athlete, because I've always considered myself an athlete.
Oh, yeah.
For me as an athlete, I had to just gear my talents towards something else, right? And again, which was the weight training, not bodybuilding, weight training.
Weight training.
Bodybuilding came in a little later.
we can dive into that. We will be diving into that, talking about bodybuilding. But before we do that, I just got to expose myself here too. Pause. So the thing is, no, it's just like for wrestling, right? So like you mentioned, the level of training, and this is something that I think we both have as like a transferable skill from one sport to another. Like the level of training that we had to actually upkeep and maintain in baseball and wrestling respectively, we're just at a different tier, which I think was another reason why, like for both, like the both of us respectively, when we started to compete in bodybuilding, we saw I'd say success fairly quickly, because of that threshold that we already had, like we'll say installed in us, right? You know, but the thing that I would say that I exposed myself with, and I've told you this before, and I know I did because you definitely roasted me when I told you. It's just so.
Probably.
So we did the so when I did my last wrestling tournament or competition, whatever, was Nationals 2014, and I placed second on an 11-11 tie. It was the very first time in my whole entire life I ever cried after taking an L. Like after I lost, I actually fucking went to the locker room and I started punching shit. I was just, yo, dude, it was on my birthday too. On a 3-day tournament, the third day fell on my birthday, and I took the L. And it was like the night before, we were all out fucking riding at Montana's. You know, like they have the crayons and shit on the. Yeah. It's like, yo, Matt is like the number one. He's gonna win. Next day, I took the fattest L. So yeah, I ended up crying and never fucking wrestling again. But I transferred that shit over to bodybuilding. I hope you didn't cry when you didn't find out that you.
No. I mean, that's the thing too, right? With that stigma of like of bodybuilders essentially coming from that. Where for me, I never really have to deal, how do I say this, with that like emotional aspect of it. Like for me, I was always kind of like a guy head to the ground, just whatever happens, you win, you lose, you lose. Because at that time you're going against the best competition anyway, so that's just kind of what it is, right? So for me, I swear to you, it was just more so once I didn't get drafted. Again, I had my ups and downs with the training, as you know, you see my weight loss pictures and so on and so forth,
which was amazing. Fuck.
Yeah, no, thank you. And that's a whole story in itself. That's what happens when you get too comfortable with life. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, with the bodybuilding, it just gave me other opportunities to just put my energy somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Put my intensity somewhere else.
Right.
And it's the military, right? Like right after college, I did the whole military thing because again, I'm not playing sports. So I might as well just play with guns or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, right? Like, it's just like, let's go do it, throw some grenades or something, you know what I mean?
Call of Duty real life. He's from Scarborough, guys. Watch out.
Big times.
Yeah.
But, again, like I said, it's the training and the lifting and all that jazz. It's something that, again, you and I can both attest to. It's our freedom, right? It's our joy. It's our getaway. It's our mental state when we're just in that focus.
Right. Again, man, as you said it well. Because, I mean, the level that we did have to play at as just athletes, lifelong athletes in general, there's that pent-up, I don't want to say aggression, but pent-up energy that has to get dispersed any way, shape, or form. Like for you, I noticed you mentioned briefly, and we're going to dive into it real quick, about the military, right? So military was one of the many outlets for you. I want to know, so just so this doesn't sound tricky, how beneficial was creating or allowing the military to be an outlet for you, just not only in your life, but as a bodybuilder?
It was definitely a wake-up call for sure, in terms of what I thought fitness was. I went into the military as a pretty stocky, heavier set, like bodybuilder.
Burger boy, yeah?
Yeah, like I had that look. Oh, that guy definitely lifts weights. But in terms of everything else, it was kind of like the cardio was lacking, the core strength was lacking. It was a typical, like, just that meathead look, if that makes any sense. Right,
yeah, like there's no agility, not like just straight up brawn.
I hate to use that term, but that's just kind of what it is, right? So with the military, what it taught me, first and foremost, was discipline. Discipline before anything else, in terms of just having to have things in the correct order to make things better for you the next day. Making sure that you're prepared so that when opportunity presents itself, you're ready to go. It's always just one of those things. So for me, when it comes to bodybuilding or training per se, the same regimen applies. The same thinking applies. It's very calculated. It's very, again, militaristic, the way I go about my training, my food, my regimen as a whole. So with bodybuilding and the military, yeah, they go hand in hand, 100%, especially from that aspect of it. Training wise, no. Like the training, it's very. I don't care what you say. You can't be in this type of shape and do the military thing. It's just, you can't. It just doesn't work that way. You have to be in a relatively good condition. You're talking about running kilometers. You're talking about ruck marches, all that. Right? It's just like, what are we? Even saying it hurts me.
Yo, yeah,
I was like, dude, I was like your age. I was your age when I was doing that. And again, the mindset was just so different, all right? So,
yeah, no, 100%. Like, as soon as you said the kilometers, when you ran so long, you could, like, inhale the fire, like, your nose is just burning and shit, and you're running, man. Dude, man.
Yo, man, I know those ones, man. Winter, summer, raining, doesn't matter, bro.
Bro, that's like wrestling for me. Back then, what we did was, because I'm Muslim, right? Because we train during Ramadan when I was fasting, right? And my coach was like, yo, just relax. Like, you don't have to show up to practice. But I'm like, I'm trying to go to the next tournament and catch a dub. So, you know what I mean? And I'm going to do whatever it takes. So, and then we're like, man, just the running, like, PTSD, I don't want that shit. I'm done. There's conditioned athlete, and then there's like bodybuilder. Like, they're two different.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not naive to it. Like, we all know what it is, right? Like, you have the bodybuilder look, the condition. Like, we look fantastic. The symmetry's there. Everything's perfect. A complete physique, right? But then at the same time, you put that in a war zone, it just doesn't work. It just, your body won't allow you to move the way it needs to move. You know what I'm saying?
And there's no response. When you're dead, you're dead. Like,
especially at this level, man.
You know what I'm saying? Damn. So that's jokes, man. But you know what? It does also bring me to this. I want to touch on this quickly because they didn't know you, of course, throughout the transformation that you had. Even I didn't know you at the time when you made the big, like the huge weight loss transformation, right? So what I want to ask you is, because you mentioned that it had a lot to do with like being extremely comfortable, getting extremely comfortable in one certain position in life and becoming, I guess, negligent in a way. And I would assume that was the time period where you were no longer in the military, where, of course, you were no longer playing baseball. And I think it may have been just around the time, if not before, you started competing. So I want to know how, two things for the viewers, for the meatheads listening. How did you lose a grip on being this like lifelong athlete, just a stellar performer, and we'll say like someone that was in the military, someone extremely disciplined? How did you go from that to, losing control and becoming, for the lack of a better term, the burger boy that you were? Burger boy is an inside joke. And then outside of that, how did you form into a bodybuilder? So those two things, how did you lose the grip? And then also how did you regain the grip? And also in between, how the relationship of Mrs. Coke, Phoebe, how that influenced everything. I want to know that. That's because marriage, people blame a lot of shit on marriage. I want to see your take on it.
No, I mean, shout out to the wife, but for me, that's so funny. Lose control. That's exactly what it was. You know what I'm saying? After Boston pizza every night. It's like,
Boston pizza.
But honestly, man, like it was. I left the military. At the time, Good Life Fitness was just starting to become what Good Life Fitness is today. So I would say that I was kind of part of that earlier build. The earlier guys that really got to reap the benefits of what the company had to offer in terms of like financial stability. So got the gig with Good Life right after the military as a sales rep. And again, you're selling memberships to a club that's pretty much feeding itself. So you're making bare cake, bro. At the age of 23, you're pulling in X amount of dollars from what you were used to. You know what I'm saying? So for myself, this is all like new money, and it's happening fast. And when that happens, you kind of just lose sight of like who you are and what's most important. You just start chasing the money. You start chasing like the goals. You want to be like a company man. You want to do this. And at that time as well, I met a beautiful woman like my wife. And it was just all going, everything was going perfect. It's just like when things are just going too well, you just don't have time to like check yourself. You get what I'm saying? So at that time, bro, things were just, they were going really, really well. Like I just bought a new car. I was looking to put a down payment on a place. Again, I met my wife, Phoebe. I met my wife. It was such a good time. But with that, like I said, you lack the you forget the responsibility of just taking care of yourself on a physical and a mental level, because all you're doing is just chasing the goals and chasing everything after that. So one day, I was with a friend who I haven't seen in like 4 or 5 years. And keep in mind, I'm like 280 pounds at this point, but I'm thinking like I'm a solid 280 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking not like Burger Boy 280. I'm thinking like Quentin 280. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, but that's definitely wasn't the case. And my boy was like, yo, fat, like, yo, what happened to you? I'm like, yo, what do you mean? He's like, shout out to my boy D. And he's like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yo, fam, you put on some weight. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm D's. What are you talking about? He's like, nah, fam, you got fat. And that's what checked me. When he told me that, everything changed. Everything changed. That's when I was like, okay, I gotta hire the trainer. You know what I mean? I gotta get on my meal plans. And it was literally the next day. You know what I mean? It wasn't no like work up towards it because again, we already had that mindset from before.
Right.
You have to get
flip the switch.
Exactly. So I just went back into action mode, fam. You know what I mean? Just got the trainer, got the meal plans on deck, and just slowly started to lose the weight. Shout out to Antoine Hamlet for that because he was the trainer that I went to back in the day. He definitely helped me with that for sure. He helped me in a lot of ways, but that one was probably the biggest one because I remember going to him because at the time he was doing well in the bodybuilding scene, and I had no idea what the hell was going on at that point. He's just doing his thing, and I see him on at the time Facebook, and he's looking these.
Right.
So I'm gonna get that guy to help me out, and he did, and we lost the weight. You know what I'm saying? So when it came to losing the weight and then bodybuilding, at some point you got to make that transition. You know what I mean? Like you lost the weight, things look good. What's next, right? And at the time, I think I was about 27, 28. So it was a little later in life for myself. And the opportunity to compete just never really sparked my interest. I was never into it. I used to actually like not make fun of it, but I used to think it was like
keep it a stack, bro. You were laughing at them. Why are they?
Some of these guys like, are you serious? Like, what are we doing right now?
And out here in your briefs and everything, man.
Yeah, I didn't understand it, man. And again, like I was never like a historian when it came to like bodybuilding. Again, I just started lifting weights. I never went to the history of it.
Yeah.
That was all later. But during that time, I remember being so naive to the whole culture of bodybuilding. So I met up with my guy Adam because Adam was so big into competing, and he was the guy at the time. He was doing a bunch of. He had one guy who won men's physique. He had another lady who won women's physique, women's grandmaster. He had a bunch of like champions in like regional shows. He was like he was doing his thing. I'm like, let me talk to this guy, and him and I just started talking. I just approached him in the gym, just started talking to him, and the rest is history. You know what happened after that.
No, don't even. All right, that's on the wraps. We're wrapping it up. Fuck this guy, dude. Yeah, okay.
We can get into greater detail too. You know what I'm saying? But
let's get into it.
Okay, before we got to that point, Adam and I, we took some L's, bro. Like we took some heavy L's. We did a competition. My first competition I'll never forget. It was the Halloween showdown or whatever they have in London or something. And this is 2017. And bro, I'm thinking I'm gonna go in there and just eat. Like, I don't even know what the hell's going on, but I'm just thinking I'm going to go in there and just slap and eat and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, like, who's going to beat me? Because you think you're the guy. I'm looking in the mirror, everything's clicking.
Come on.
And I'm thinking it's from like a regional perspective. So I know there's guys out there. I know there's sharks out there. But for like a beginner, I felt nice. You know what I'm saying? For a beginner, I felt nice. Anyways, long story short, we show up to the show. Literally one other competitor. And he waxed me, fam. Like, he waxed me, bro. Like, to the point where it's just like no tears were shed, but it was definitely a moment where it was like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah.
You know what I was like? He waxed me, and it was his conditioning. He knew how to bodybuild. He knew how to pose. He knew how to do all of that. You know what I'm saying?
The art.
And for me, coming into the game, I didn't know how to do any of that.
For sure.
We were just two boys trying to figure a thing, trying to try a thing. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out for us.
Nah.
Then because I was going to Jamaica and within 3 weeks, they had the King Kong Classic. Where I met you guys for the first time.
Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, you were headed out to was it the honeymoon or the wedding for Jamaica?
It was just a vacation.
So just a vacation, Jamaica, and then to get ready for that, you were going to do this show in between, was it? Yeah, something like
Absolutely. Because I felt like, because it was like a 3-week gap.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Let me just hold myself accountable. So let me just do the King Kong, which is like a week from the vacation, and then I'll be in shape, and then boom, we can just go on the trip, right? So King Kong now, I'm thinking, okay, I learned from my mistakes. I know what's up. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? I show up, and then I see you, and I remember seeing you on social media somewhere. And again, back then, you're still doing your posing, you were still holding it down, I had no idea it was your first competition.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Bro, I was scared shit. We're gonna talk a little bit about me, but I want to hear your perspective first, because that was a different.
Now that I know it was your first competition, I just that's crazy. That because you had such an aura about you. Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to tell you, I thought you were the CPA poster boy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. You were the guy, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know anything.
Oh my chest.
I thought you were the guy, but you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I think I can't remember how we met from that point, but I remember talking to you briefly, very briefly, and you were very nice, and you were very cordial. You were very humble. I remember that specifically about you the first time we briefly met. Because you were with your coach at the time too. So
the way I remember it, because I remember most of those things because of how fucking nervous I was to actually hit on stage the first time. So at that time, my coach was Jean-Joel Pierre. And so I got pressured into doing that show. I think I already told you. So my boy Matt, his name was Matt too. We both of our girlfriends broke up with us and shit. And we're like, what the hell are we gonna do? Let's just go to the gym again. Like how we were talking about earlier, the gym is like the outlet for us, right? I was no longer competing as a wrestler, so I'm like, let me just get this, you know what I mean, off my chest. So he'd pick me up and go to the gym one day. One day I'd meet him at the other gym and we just train. And then he says, Matt, yo, I'm daring you to do this competition, the King Kong. And then I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm not gonna go do men's physique or anything like that, because I knew about bodybuilding and I always loved it. Like I watched Pumping Iron a jillion times, right?
Yeah.
And then so he's like, no, like I want you to do bodybuilding. Like, yo, you have the genetics for it. I'm like, bro, just like how you were thinking of it. Like I couldn't wrap my brain around going on stage in front of people in my briefs. Like I can't. Like who are you guys? Like, so I was tripping for like a cold 2 weeks, and then he's like, bro, I'm gonna do it anyway. If you're my bro, you're gonna do it too. I'm like, fuck it, whatever. So he pressured me into it, right? So and then I hired the coach at the time. We trained, and then we got there, and like he was an old school coach. Like when I say old school, it's like outdated. Not even like he should no longer be a coach type of thing. If he's listening to this, he knows I'm saying this with my full chest, because I've told this to him in person. We got in a fight once. And it was like, it was so dumb. I'm just on a tangent here, but so the fight was this. So I was getting ready it was after King Kong. I was getting ready for nationals, and I didn't want to work with the guy anymore, because what happened at King Kong was he was supposed to put me in for juniors. And like even just small things, like when it comes down to like the meal plan and stuff like that, it was never really detailed. He was just like handful of beans, fucking sweet potatoes, like no measurements of anything. I had to like wing it myself, sort of.
You have this,
bro, right? And then I was just tripping, and this is my first show. The only thing that I'll credit him for was the posing and the stage presence. That was one thing we didn't fucking play with that. Like I would bus to his house 1 hour a day, and we'd pose for like 4 or 5 hours straight, like I'm losing water weight doing, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, right? And shout out to also Antoine Hamlet too, because 2019, that's where we did that, right? R3, you were there. So anyway, so he fucked up my first show essentially. Like I was nervous as shit. He put me in the open for 21 plus, and I was assuming to go under that, and then I'm like backstage, like fuck this guy, whatever. I was so OCD, I had the music in my ears going to bed for my posing routine, and then waking up, like that's the only thing I was listening to just on repeat, because I didn't want to screw up my routine. That was like what I cared about the most. And then I went on, ended up winning the show, and I felt good, whatever, so I'm coming back. And I think that's where I met you. So I was at welter.
Yeah, it was brief. It was very brief. Like King Kong, I remember. It was just like kind of like, hey, like good job, like I see you.
Right. And then it was it was like, dude, not even 2 minutes, right? I walked up, or I was leaving. We were both leaving anyway. We're packing up our stuff. The show was like pretty much wrapping up.
Remember, I was salty as fuck.
Yeah.
Remember, I was just like, yo, I don't want to talk to nobody.
You were just like walking around in your grunts mode. At first, I was confused, genuinely confused, because there was I forgot his name, homie, but he was guest posing there, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Swerve.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Swerve, Johnny.
Johnny Shreve. Johnny Shreve. Yes. So he was. Yeah. He was guest posing there when Tristan Lee was guest posing there too. I swear to God, I don't know why I thought you were guest posing. I didn't think you were actually competing. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Bro. So
yeah.
Shit, like I'm telling you, I always got that like, yo, that guy's gonna slap.
This guy's dangerous. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember I showed him, bro. I showed him to the athletes meeting in a tank top, just feeling groovy.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like you have to perform the next day though, fam. Like you have to go out there and still do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's just if you just show up and look Jesus, then it just work out that way. You know what I mean? So
yeah, dude, it sort of cut you off, but that's what it was. 2 minutes, we crossed paths. You're like, yo, you're Vegeta Pump. I'm like, yo, dude, I thought you were guest posing. When I saw you look like get ready and like change your like to colored trunks, I'm like, yo, I'm not even doing anything here anymore. I'm fucking done. Like, screw this shit. Fuck bodybuilding.
I was not good. I was trash, bro. Don't worry.
But like the visually is what man saw. I was just fucking freaking out. And then we talked like 5 seconds. You're like Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball. Good game. Man them. That's it. Like, that's it. We're just bros. So, and that's, yeah. But after that so the fight I got with the coach was, he started talking a whole bunch of shit because they don't want to work with him anymore. He was talking to all of his other clients saying, Matt is not going to do this. Matt's not going to do that. He's going to lose at nationals, blah, 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 blah. Lo and behold, the guy actually pulled up to my nationals, the same one where we were at. And this is, I guess, where the funny story finds its way because, guys and girls, if you didn't know already, that was the first time I competed with this guy, like in a sense, because we both...
Let them know, fam. Please take your time. I'm chilling.
Fuck. Okay. All right. Okay, people. But you know what? I'm humbled because look, if he beat me, he turned pro, and he turned pro. So it's like,
listen. Before we get into that though, like with the King Kong thing again, I'm coming off of 2 L's now.
Okay.
Two
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like something has to give. All right, so something has to give. So I leave. I go to Jamaica. I spend some great time with Phoebes. We just chill out and do our thing. I come back. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this properly now. I'm gonna spend the money. I'm gonna hire a posing coach. I'm gonna see Adam fucking 5 to 6 days a week. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make sure that we're on point. I'm gonna make sure the meals. I'm not gonna cheat on anything. I'm gonna give 110% of this, especially the posing. Like the posing was something up until nationals I never had a grasp on. Even now, like. Even though I shouldn't say now I consider myself a junior posing still. I'm not gonna lie to you, but when it comes to
keep it a stack.
Back then,
keep it a stack.
I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to the mandatories, I think I got that down pat. But when it comes to back then, it was really so just understanding how it works, understanding what's your strengths, your weaknesses, how to hide them, so on and so forth. So I learned a lot during that process before heading into nationals. So going to nationals, again, not being part of that in crowd yet. I was definitely like ready. I was definitely like focused. At that point in time, I didn't go in there with the attitude of like, oh, I'm gonna win. It was just more so, okay, I did my absolute best. Let's just see where the cards fall now.
Right, and that's exactly what happened. You got what you deserved, honestly. I mean, you laid it out there. I remember being backstage. Like we were pretty much all camped up in the same area. Me, you, Rome, because Rome turned pro that year too in Classic.
That was the best backstage I've ever experienced in my life.
Bro, the camaraderie was.
Funny,
bro.
The camaraderie with that stage was insane. Like I just remember, like everybody was just on some like we were on some like friendship vibe. It was on some like serious like brotherhood vibe type of thing. So it's nationals, you know what I'm saying? Like we all deserve to be there, right? So like
you earned your place.
On some friendly, everybody was just on some friendly. It was great. It was great energy.
And I remember Ron Hache saying the natural shows are his favorite because like you always get that type of vibe. You know, and that's something that I've noticed. But I mean, yeah, like we're all there. I see you with Antoine. You guys are running or posing. I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, fuck. Like, let me run to the draw sheet. Let me see what weight class he's in. Okay, neat. I got a chance. So I'm like, okay, bet.
No, that was good times, man.
Those are great times, man.
I mean, I'm sure anybody who poses with him now will tell you, like, he's big on the endurance aspect of it. Like, he's so big on really just like pushing the limits on like certain poses and making sure that you hit every single marker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I remember like especially after training too, you're already tired. You know what I'm saying? Like do legs and I gotta go pose with this savage. Like it's like fuck. You know what I'm saying? And he shows no mercy. You know him.
Oh, period. You be fucking vibrating like yo.
100%. But I will say like that method it works because I can tell you now when it comes to like the mandatories and going through the motions, I think back to when we did it back then. And it's still within me, like I still got it. You know what I mean? Like the muscle memory's there, right? So again, shout out to Twan for that, because without the pose, I don't think I would have got the card.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, gotta pay respect where respect is due. And I mean, you laid it out there too, right? Like we saw, everybody knew going to that show that you were coming still. You know, it's like the guy from King Kong, if he just does this, it's game. Like the guy from King Kong, that's what it was. And you know what I won't forget? I'll never forget this. We had weigh-ins the day before, and you're gonna know what I'm fucking talking about. Bro, he's like, yo, he looks around, he's like, bro, and he asks me, yo, Matt, I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? You see anybody here with legs? I'm like, nah. He's like, yeah, me neither. And I'm like, looking at him, like, what? Like, he's talking to me, bro. I don't have, I'm like, okay. Yo, I was fucking devastated, bro. I was like,
honestly, that was funny too, because I remember thinking to myself during the weigh-ins, there was maybe like 2 or 3 guys, maybe like 2 guys who had like quads and like hands, like seeing like that look, because everybody else was very straight line. Everybody else had like a very straight, like sick upper body, but just very straight line. But again, it's a natural show, so what are you gonna expect? There's a lot of like genetics play a huge factor in that too, right? Like it's just how the game goes. So it all worked out.
It all worked out, didn't it? Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. We did that on stage. That was fun. Again, that's a moment I will never ever forget. You know, saying having you beside me, pause. It was legit. It was fun, man. It was fun.
It was.
The thing is, I tell you this all the time. When you tried to dap me, and I was so locked in, I couldn't. I couldn't do that, man. I'm sorry, bro. I was just so in the zone, and I apologize to you. Like next time, I'll do it though. I'll dap you, and it'll be blessed. But I was just so locked in, man.
Yo, for those of you guys that don't know, so we were hitting like a most muscular, and I think it was either we're getting ready for the pose down, or it was just like the last pose we're hitting. I'm like, yo, like
it was the most muscular.
Yeah.
Right. Like you slapped me on the arm, because you're like, let's put on.
Yeah, let's go. Like, yeah, because we're dead center, right?
Yeah. I was like, nah, nigga. I'm just like,
bro, I'm there looking like a fool. Like, hey, what's up? And he's just like fucking in the mode. I'm like, all right, then. And then he was just, don't even have to apologize. Like, that's what I'm saying. The level of like discipline, it's sharp. The show's not over until it's over, type of thing. And that's something that I ended up, embodying from you as well. As the time went on later on, even when I went to do my last nationals where I turned pro, I sort of embody that. Like, I'm still me. Like, I'll be like playful a little bit on stage. Like, let's get the crowd roaring in a sense. But also, like, I'm here to shut lights out too, right? So, there was a couple of guys that they wanted to come up to me and just do some like fun shit. I'm like, okay, and like, psych, just fucking, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tony for that.
I get it, man. The opportunity will present itself once, right? So it's just, you got to make sure you're on top of it.
Oh, 1,000%. Again, as you told me, and it was embedded in my head, not as if you were pumping my tires, but because it was a fact, and that proves it. It was mine to lose. So that's what it was. And so we don't have too much time left on the clock today, but I know 100% we're definitely going to be getting you back on the Meathead on the Mic podcast. Like, that's non-negotiable. And the next time you do come on, we're going to talk about something that I don't think a lot of people outside of the fitness space, the bodybuilding space, are too aware of, which is, competing naturally versus competing enhanced. We can definitely break that down. That, I believe, is going to be its own, like, 1 hour conversation, because we could just, like, try to, like, you know what I mean? But, like, that deserves its own, you know what I mean?
I could definitely give you some insight on that.
Oh, we could break it down, man. But, no, 100%. That's solid. So, you already know what it is. I want to ask you, again, guys and girls, in today's episode, there really is no actionable value. This is mainly like the experiences that we're sharing from 2 people that, are now IFBB pros that, just worked hard in life in general. Just get it. I know, like, it's still fucked up for me. And Quint was saying the same thing. He's like, you can't get it like that. I'm a pro now too. Me, sometimes I forget. I have to read it on my prompt when I'm like, do my thing, because I will fucking forget. You know what I'm saying? We're out here, baby. So there is no actionable value today, but there will be tomorrow, as always. Maybe there was value for you along the way by laughing, just having some meaningful banter. And if you had any questions that you had felt like they were answered or whatever, that's value you got too. So what I want to do now is I want to ask you, Tony, real quick. Well, first things first, thank you so much for your time and attention today. Like, to actually just break it down and just keep it a stack with us. Like, I can't tell you how grateful not only I am, but the viewers and listeners for the Meathead on the Mic podcast are for that, because that's timeless. This is going to be out there forever. I want to ask you, man, what are your big plans? 2022 competition. What's up?
Yeah, man. So some decisions have to be made. I obviously didn't have the best showing at the Toronto Pro in December. I'm fairly confident in my abilities to compete in Classic. I just need to really just learn how to dial in on that last day. Like you and I were talking about before, for Classic Physique, I got to come in at 185 as my weight cutoff.
Mm.
So the whole thing with me and my team is we got to get that 192 look, which again you've seen on my posts, and yeah, that look is the look I get the most. You know what I mean? Renowned on. So if I can get that look down to 185 without without losing any muscle, without sacrificing any size, that's the plan. Just trying to learn that science behind it because the coach and we have our heads together. Or like we were talking about before, do the 212 thing, which is I'm still up in the air about that. To be honest with you, I'm still up in the air. I know over time that'll be something that I definitely want to do, but I still think I can play within this Classic realm. I just got to be more creative on that last day and just understand that no matter what time the weigh-in is, I got to be ready, man. And I just can't.
And that was the thing. So that was the variable that was negotiable at the last one, because normally you had the constant or the consistent weigh-ins in the mornings and then throughout the day. You'd be good.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not. Don't get me wrong.
No.
Complaining.
Oh, you and I. Oh, 100%. Right, but it's just to be that versatile. That would have been the obstacle to overcome per se.
That's
right.
Exactly
So yeah, there's that, and then the 192 look at the 185 without sacrificing the fullness, and like because you at 192s that's like superb. Like that's a look like that is complete. I think as you can get before you start taking away. You look really good at 192.
It was crazy. It was crazy for. Sorry, give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no worries, man. Oh, good.
It was crazy because I put up a picture, and I guess Bodybuilders Without Borders, an Instagram page who supports bodybuilders across the world. He put my picture on his post, and shout out to Rough Diesel. Like Rough Diesel, like showed the post love.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's like the best in the world.
He's doing it. Yeah, literally.
That's the guy, right? So for him to show me love, it was nice.
It made
me feel good.
Yeah,
it made me feel good. It made me feel like I do belong, and I can do this at a very high level, regardless of whatever happens. You're still within the wolves. You're still a wolf within this game. So you just keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And well said, man. That's dope. All right, yo, Tony. So where do we find you if we want to, stick around and follow through with your journey? Do you have any social media that we can tag you on? What's up?
Absolutely. So right now I got Facebook, just Tony Coke on Facebook, and then for Instagram it's IFBB Coke. Give me a shout anytime I'm around. It's always love. Always love.
Yeah.
Positive energy, fam. Positive energy.
25-8-366. That's your boy. All right, guys and girls, you know what it is. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you today. Thank you so much for your precious time and attention. Also, if you want to join the Natural Nomad Academy and lose 25 pounds and join the Meathead locker room community, you can hit me up, DM me, see if you'll be a good fit. We'll talk about that later on when we get there. P.S. I will not be monetizing this podcast. I don't want to put ads on it because I respect your time and I just want you to get the experience. I want you to get the value off the bat. All right. Don't forget also to screenshot and share this podcast to your IG story to show support. It'll go a long way. Again, guys and girls, let's embrace your inner meathead together. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt Butale is signing out. Boom.